Right, episode 4. By now, you realize that this is going to take a lot longer than what you may have initially imagined. We haven't even gone down into the dungeon yet. We're still really explaining how to set up the game, what the basics are. We've covered essentially how you're supposed to win. There are obviously other ways, but there are some ways which are better than others. And I'm going to try to focus on the tips that go best for that situation. There is no way that I can summarize, 8 years of Angband, 10 years of Angband into anything less than, 100 hours. So we're just going to look for the time being specifically at those, and if the opportunity comes, we'll throw in something else. We've gone through character creation and the basic setups of the game's framework, so you know how to make the game more playable, how to make it generally more helpful in letting you do the thing that you need to do to win. We have a brand new character. This is a level 1 mage. Level 1, there is no guarantee that it will survive. If you get to around level 9, which shouldn't take more than 10 to 20 minutes, then you can already tell that you've got a winner. We have choose the option to not buy anything. We've only, for a test, bought the very 2 basic books. I'm using the B as in browse option to look at book B. The reason why I picked this up is that we're going to go into the dungeon now. We may well get to this character level. And if we do, we can then cast little spells, so it's good to have the book straight away. You get experience points when you cast a spell for the first time, and that can help you level up as well. So good to have the second book. We're also going to buy a couple of things while we're in town. We're going to go to the potions shop, the scrolls shop, and we're going to buy 2 things. We're going to buy 1 potion of Face Door. All these are useful, and we will ignore them because they'll come on their own. And we are going to buy a single scroll of recall. Now, I normally don't buy this. I buy it later on. 125 gold is a big expense when you start out, but we are going to play in a simpler way, so we'll get those. Then we'll go to the temple, and we are going to buy 1 potion of Cure Light Wounds. The reason why we're buying this is that we are going to find a lot of Cure Light Wounds into the dungeon. Tons. Now, as I go down to the dungeon, I do not know if I'm going to be there for 50 turns or 5,000 turns. It really depends on how lucky I get, what kind of monsters I see. Sometimes I'll have to run away straight away. Some other times I will stay longer, and therefore, when I have those potions, they stack up. I go in with 1 potion, I find 5 potions on the floor, I put them in my stack, I now have 6 potions of Cure Light Wounds. But if I do not have at least 1 potion, I will not know what the potions of Light Wounds work like. You've all played the game at least once or so. You all are familiar with the concept of identifying. You know that every time you play a game, all the objects are randomized. Just simply the shape and color of each scroll, of each staff, of each potion changes, but it's just really the tile, just the graphics to it, so that when you find something unidentified, as a player, you do not have the option to just remember what they are. You need to re-identify them every time. We will go to the supplies store. We'll buy a couple of torches. Again, this is planning to stay longer, but you never know. We'll buy about 4 or 5 potion rations of food. We can eat 1 straight away and become full. And that's it. I still have enough money and I could buy the things, one thing that I do like to do is come here and see if there's a potion of speed so I can identify them straight away. It's also important to know that I'm gonna need 250 gold before I can sell anything. We'll do without for the time being, but again, I'll explain. I can still learn one more spell. I can either learn Detect Monsters or Light Area. They're both useful, but then again, you know, if you die at level 1, just restart. There's no point. We're in the dungeon now. The first thing that you need to know is that you can move your character with the arrow keys. If I press the right arrow key, I will have moved. You should pretty much never do this. What you should do is you should use the full stop sign. That's the one to the left of the whatchamacallit, well, 2 away from the right shift. Press it, then press the direction, and you are now running. Running means that you will continue going straight while there is only one direction to go to, and if nothing is disturbing you. I'm already in a situation where I know I'm in danger just from experience. This particular construction here, circular, is always generally has tunnels that go around it, and there might be mobs here. If they have heard me and they're coming here, if they close up on me, they will kill me. So I will go back and exit. I really do not care for that. I much prefer something like this. As you notice, this room is full of light. The shallower you are in the dungeon, the more light tends to be. The further down you are, the more rooms tend to be dark. There's a mob right there. I'm gonna try to kill it. I killed it. Right after I killed it, I pressed the yes button so that my spell points will go back. Gold. Okay. Boink. Run. When you run, the moment that you become aware of another monster, you will stop. The reason why you should do this and not run like that is because if you run like this, you will get bored and eventually you'll start holding the button down. Unfortunately, Angband does have something that's called command queuing or command stacking, which means that if I press the button on the keyboard and this button gives me one command, I wait until it's done, it's resolved, and I can now press another. But if I keep it pressed, by the time that it does that little hiccup and a jump and then it moves, it's actually stored a lot of commands. It's stored a lot of button presses. The same way that if you press A on a keyboard while you're typing and you keep it pressed, it will have just a little hiccup and then it will type a string of A's. It does the same thing. And the problem is that you'll be just driving along, riding in an empty corridor, and while you were gonna do that, there was a mob you didn't see. They're faster than you, they catch up, they hit you before you can even take off the finger from the key, you're dead. But if you run, that's never going to happen because the game will instantly stop you. Junk to sell. Junk to sell is going to be very important. I can see down here the level feeling. The first number is the number that represents how dangerous this place is. Depending on the monsters that are on the level, you get a rating from 1 to 9. That's also based on the dungeon level. So if you're at dungeon level 70, and there are some great worms over there, some extremely powerful dragons, you still may get like a 4 or a 5 as danger. It's based on the proportional difficulty. But if you get a monster that's normally at dungeon level 7, but you get on dungeon level 1, it will skyrocket. The second represents the value of the items. Now, as the developer himself has said, this is just based on the total amount of money, but generally you are really looking right now for something that has a value of 5 or higher. Because we are on dungeon level 1 and we're starting, we have nothing, we are actually looking for anything that is 3 or higher. The white centipede that I did not kill moves at the same speed that I do. That means that I can try to rest. I managed resting. If it wakes up, I would have been able to capture it. Scroll phase door. And we can leave. Now, I could go down to second dungeon level. I'm just going to stay back up until really I hit character level 2. The reason is the most common monsters that you get in... Let me take a step back. As you see, monsters will be sleeping. You can hit one, rest, and then hit the other. That's normally what you'll do for the first few character levels. From dungeon level 2 onwards, the most common type of mobs that you get that are typical of that level are soldiers and priests. You most of the time cannot kill even one of them with 3 spell points. But as an elf mage, if you get to character level 2, you have 5 points, and that makes it fairly easy to kill them consistently. So we really have nothing to gain. That mob I cannot kill with one shot, so I'm just going to ignore it. I'll go there, I'll wear that sling. I will try. I killed it. Fantastic. I will ignore the eye over there, because if they wake up, they suck mana. I'm going back to the stairs because I was too close to darkness, and I do not want to heal over there. I'll rather heal on the stairs. Who cares? Bit of a waste of time, but... Now, I do have this other spell. Actually, I haven't got one. Detect monsters. I normally prefer a light area, but detect monsters is fine. It serves the purpose of me explaining. This is considered by many old school players the most important spell, because it will show you ahead of time where monsters are and what you're going to get close to. So if it's too dangerous, don't get close to it. We'll cast it, Shift M for the map, and we'll get an idea of what we've got. That one doesn't move, that one doesn't move, that one doesn't move, that one does move, but generally 1 or 2 spell points are sufficient. They should be able to die. I should be able to kill them. They are almost certainly up here, but I'm not in a hurry. Dead. Just gonna retreat a little bit. Heal. And basically you do this until for the very first levels. Phase door, you're not gonna use it at the beginning because you're not going to rely on it. Scrolls of phase door, we bought one, we already have 10. They were extremely common. There's other drops that you want on the dungeon. You're just gonna clear the level. I don't mean that you need to actually clear the level. I just mean that you need to be satisfied that you don't really want to be on that level anymore. The second bit of the level feeling over here is very important because it tells us that there's really nothing here. I mean, it's a level feeling of 1 for treasures. At dungeon level 1, there is nothing whatsoever. There might be a couple of scrolls, a couple of potions, a priest book, something like that. Useless. So we are looking for something specific that happens to spawn at these very shallow depths. We are looking for potions of speed, of which we have one. We bought one to identify them so that then we do not need to resell them. Because one thing that you do is, if you find something and you do not know what it is, you go to a vendor, you sell it, and then if it's something that you need, you buy it back. If you're going to do this at the beginning and you are looking to kill the initial mobs, just go back to the stairs. So if a mob starts to annoy you, you can always... I'm not sure if that's even died. Has it died? These are the messages. The rock lizard flees. It hasn't died. As you see, I hit it when it was there. It went back there. That is still the T or the L or the hockey stick, as they call it. So I could hit it there. Now it's dead. Now, level feeling of 3 at this shallow depth can only be a few things. And all of those things are really useful. And they're generally gloves of free action. Although normally they tend to rank 4. The game's a bit iffy with being consistent with these things. And we absolutely do need free action. It's going to be one of the key items that every player needs no matter what. So we need that. It could be a magical, it could be a lantern, it could be a magical, torch. If it's not something that we are going to use, it's something that we can sell. We're also looking for some particular scrolls. We are looking specifically for scrolls of deep descent. These are scrolls that when you read them, they make you jump 5 levels down. If we are in dungeon level 1 and we were to read it, you will go down to dungeon level 6. 9 times out of 10, that's not a jump you can survive. And it will kill you. As a matter of fact, for many years, I used to consider them cursed items, but they're not, and they're actually fundamental to easily beating the game. But a simple torch with a bonus of +1 light, which really does very little, actually sells for 276 gold. So if we get that, that's a lot of money for a brand new character. It all adds up, it all stacks up. And we definitely want to look at what this 3 here is on this map. You generally will be able to tell fairly easily what the item is. Now that mob that I just killed was invisible. If you did not have see invisible because you're an elf, you would have, well, it wouldn't have killed you because they're frankly absolutely incapable of doing anything. But you would have probably been very confused as to why you're losing hit points while you're not doing anything wrong. Remember that I recover my spell points all the time. When you press Shift-C, you get into your character screen. There are some things that you're going to be want to look at. One of the things is your weight. Another thing is, well, you need to have an idea of what your stealth is. Stealth is a mechanic that is both useful and completely useless depending on the perspective. So both considerations are valid. And if you press H here, that one, to change mode, you'll come to this screen. This is your resistances and your sustains. A plus sign means that you have that resistance. The @ sign used to be the sign that they used when this game was in ASCII only to represent you. So the @ sign means this is your character. Your character inherently resists attacks based on the element of light and has automatically see invisible and infravision. These two things are kind of useless because invisibility overrides infravision, but whatever. R means resist. There is no R in front of sound and shard because they can fit it. P means prevent. R means that if you're hit by R cold, a cold attack, you'll get less damage. If you have a P, then it completely prevents the attack. So a blinding attack will completely be ignored. If you have P stun, you cannot be stunned a little bit or less than a guy that doesn't have it. You will not be stunned at all. These are all elements all the way up to disenchantment. Then you have fear, blindness, confusion, and stun. Hold life means that if an enemy is trying to drain your experience points, like a vampire or almost exclusively the undead, you will get a saving throw in order to prevent it. And you additionally, if you get to the saving throw, you do not lose XP. If you fail it, you have an additional saving throw, and if you pass that one, you will only lose a portion of the experience that you would have. Regeneration affects both hit points and spell points. ESP is telepathy, allows you to see monsters through the walls. They do need to have a brain. So golems, constructs may not be visible with ESP. Then you got free action, which means that you cannot be paralyzed. Paralysis only lasts for a few rounds. But while you're paralyzed, the monster that has paralyzed you can continue paralyzing you. And many times, if you do not have reaction and you're paralyzed once, you're dead. Feather falling is completely worthless. It only really affects you when there's 2 specific traps involved, so forget about it. S-dig is improved digging. No, sorry, that's tunneling. Something digestion, sustained digestion. This means that you consume food a lot slower. It's, again, really not important because you can create food out of thin air. There's a spell that is not even a high-level spell and just feeds you. I can never remember this is impaired hit points or improved hit points. I think it's impaired. It means that something is preventing you from regenerating. But anyway, fear means that you are immune to fear. Aggravation means that whenever monsters are near you, you tend to disturb them a lot more. It used to be that you really pissed off monsters. Now it just basically it makes your stealth worse. It's not great to have aggravation, and sometimes the way that it works is if a magical item is very powerful, monsters will hate it. That's the concept behind it. So generally, things that are very powerful will likely have the aggravate flag tagged on. And that means that you may want to use those. Because, yeah, well, they aggravate, but they're incredibly powerful. But some other times it's just an annoyance and it's best not to have it. I don't know if aggravate stacks, but the point is that if you have it once, you might as well have it on everything because who cares? You don't have stealth anymore. This is the stealth. You'll see here which of these item slots give you a bonus. Now these correspond to your equipment slots. If I press E, there's your equipment. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, J, so on. These are fixed. They do not change. Your inventory slots are not fixed, meaning that books of prayers, beginner's handbook, will not necessarily always be on C. It really depends what you have in your bag. They're always put in the same descending order. So if you have several different characters, but they all have this equipment, you will always find it in the same order. But it's very important when you create key maps, because if you have a certain book here, you may not be there if you no longer have this book. So if you have Magic for Beginners and Conjuring and Tricks, and you're trying to cast a spell from Conjuring and Tricks, but a fire-based mob has burned your Magic for Beginners, that means that the book will now be here instead of having this one here, and your keybinds no longer work. That's something worth watching out for. As I said, we are looking for some, oh, right, actually we're doing this. Search is a searching bonus. It used to be a lot more relevant when you actually needed to manually search for things like traps and secret doors. They used to be hidden doors. They were kind of easy to spot where they were, and also later on you can just dig through a wall, so you're not really going to care. It's really not important. If you get like a ring of searching and you have no other rings, yeah, just wear it, who cares, but it really is of very little relevance. Infravision is the ability to see hot bodies through the darkness, and it can be very good when you are very early on and you do not have invisibility, because you'll be able to see monsters through the darkness because they're warm. Good to have, but just like stealth, really not something that you should prefer over anything else. If you have something that has infravision, or if you have something that has regeneration, you will always want not infravision but the other thing. They're always better. Tunneling is the ability to dig stone. The numbers are a bit weird. As you remember, a dwarf has like plus 40 tunneling, but when you get an item, you will only have like plus 1 or plus 2. Those two numbers are not equal. Tunneling is vital because all the good stuff will be hidden most of the time behind some stone. You will need to dig through the stone to get to the good stuff. A mage doesn't really have that problem because you can cast a spell that melts a stone. Not quite yet, but soon enough. But if you are not doing this, if you're playing like a paladin, even at level 20, you'll need to carry something that allows you to get through stone. Speed is anything that gives you a bonus to your basic speed. Blows is something that makes you have more attacks. There is a table, there's a chart that changes depending on what character you are. So a high health chart is not as good as a warrior's chart. Basically, it is a combination between your total strength value, your total dexterity value, and the weight of your weapons. Angband has a weird way to consider weapon weights. There are weapons that weigh like 30 pounds. They don't exist in real life, but they exist in the game. And based on that, you get to attack one or more times than one per round. Pure casters can have a maximum of 4 attacks, but there's magical items that will just give you a flat +1 attacks or +2 attacks, or weapons themselves have them. So shots is kind of the same thing. It allows you to shoot your bow more times than once. Normally bow attacks, bow, crossbow, sling, and so on are only 1 per round. If you have a Vandart, that gives you more of this. If you have a bow of extra shots and so on, it will be marked here. Might and Light, I don't know. I don't remember. You can find potions of loose memories on dungeon level 1. That means that pretty much you should not be using any objects, any items that you do not know what they are, unless you kind of already know what they are. I hit a teleport trap over there. The game often does this very annoying things where it doesn't really tell you important things that may have happened. So that's another reason why you should always try to prefer the run command over anything else. Let's see where we are. So we're still looking for this thing that is 3. And when you are very early in your gameplay and nothing has been identified, it's a good idea to not touch anything, because you might be selling something useful. So better leave it. I'm gonna use the look command. When you press L to look, if you use your arrow keys or your directional keys, it will jump to the next interesting item. Like this spot here is not really interesting, so the game is not gonna light it. And if you instead press L, then click anywhere with the mouse, then you can now move individually how you want using the directional keys. And this is a lot better to investigate other parts of the map. There might be stuff over there. Mobs do respawn, so don't do the thing where you say, oh, I've already been there. There's no monsters there. I don't need to be worried. I don't need to be scared, because they will respawn, and sometimes they respawn too fast. Often there's hidden doors. So. Almost there. Magic Missile is very important. First off, 3d4 damage is not a lot, but this does increase. It goes up, I think, 1d4 every 5 levels, something like that, because you cap at 11d4. It's not a lot of damage considering higher level spells. However, there's 2 things you need to consider. First off, it costs 1 mana, and you will come to a point where your spell points are like 100 spell points, 150, 200 spell points. And when you cast a magic missile, in that amount of time, when you cast the next, you would have already regenerated that. So you cast it for free. And also, nothing is immune to magic missile. Nothing in the game resists magic missile. It is the same type of element, so to speak, the same one of these as Mana Storm, which is the highest damage spell in the game, and you get it at like level 42 or something like that. Now, obviously, monsters will be attacking you when you're casting Magic Missile, so a lot of times you cannot do that, but there are mobs that do not move, and Magic Missile every day. You really do not need to be this thorough when you're investigating the dungeon. I just really want to find whatever it is that's that level 3. Okay, sandals +1. These do nothing. Probably these. No. I cannot wear these. If I wear these, my spell points are going to go down. See? They were 5. They're now at 3. If I use D to drop, then I move away from the inventory into the equipment, drop my gloves, they will go back to 5. The reason is, you're a wizard, you're a mage, you use your fingers to cast spells. The gloves make it harder to move your fingers. If they're gloves of free action, or if they give you a dexterity bonus, then that no longer applies. Here's another application of a command that we discussed previously. If I press K and then move right to select the object on the floor, it will say ignore which item? That one. I want to ignore these. And do you just want to ignore this one particular one that is now on the floor? Or are you trying to say that you no longer want to see normal stuff that goes on your hands? So a simple pair of gauntlets with no bonus. Yeah, I want to ignore them. I'm a mage. I'll never be able to use them. I can use the magic ones, but not the non-magic ones. So now I ignored it. If I move, it's not there anymore. Now, you can reverse this, but also the object is not gone. If I press Shift K, you will see that I'm temporarily unignoring items. They're still there. I do Shift K again. I'm on them, I'm on top of them. They're still there, but the game doesn't show them to me. The reason is, later on, you will get so much crap thrown at you that you really will not be able to wade through it. You need to not see the stuff that's worthless. Now, this is one of the most common ways that a run can end. These are the Farmer Maggot's dogs. They are really simple mobs, the dogs, but they move reasonably fast, and they are the only mobs of only uniques that I find at dungeon level 1. But I spotted them, it's not a problem. I will be able to kill him. I just don't feel confident being next to him because he can do more than 6 points of damage. Cast 1 scroll of Phase Door. I also drink one of these cure potions. Now, he occasionally moves erratically. This is something that some mobs do. Not all mobs will beeline for you. Some of them move in a bit of a wobbly, random way. But I can hit him from here. However, I know if I shoot him here, I will not have line sight if the guy hides again. So I'm going to move into the room, hit him. He used half of his action because he moves faster to move next to me, a bit to attack me. I got him into the blue. Blue, or purple, whatever you want to call it, means that the mob is panicking. They're hurt, they want to run away. This is important because a lot of times you'll know that you cannot kill that monster, but you'll be able to make him run away. And sometimes you're using what little mana you have, and you say, after you made it blue, you don't hit it again to kill it. You keep whatever mana you have for the next monster and make that one blue. I still have 2 spell points. I'm going to risk it. Press F1. Killed it. I killed it. I made it to level 3. They pay a lot because they're uniques. Unique monsters only appear once. Once you kill them, they're gone forever. You cannot have multiple ones, and they're all named. So you have Bear, as we saw in another video. You have the ring rates, so Witch King of Angmar, Saruman, and so forth, they drop substantially better loot than normal mobs, although the loot situation is very complex. There's randomizer tables. Anything can drop everything, so it's not something that we can really discuss. Let's just try to not make this video last forever and get to the bottom of what is it that is giving this dungeon level a level feeling of 3. I hope this is not one of those quite rare wonky times where it gives me a level feeling and I absolutely have no idea why. Oh, I can learn new spells. I can learn an extremely important spell that I mentioned that Mage has all the best spells. Find traps, doors, and stairs. First off, I currently need 17 experience points to get to the next level. Most of you probably already know all this stuff. It's just that I do not know that you know this stuff, so I need to cover it. I'm about to cast this. I now need 11. I got 6 experience points. When you're completely new, 6 experience points is a lot. Okay, so I think we've done the entire dungeon. We have not found... Let me just look at something. There is this door that I didn't check, so I'm gonna go check if by any chance I've forgotten something. No. Okay, so that's the whole dungeon. We have not found anything useful, but we have found these. It could well be that either some of these potions or these scrolls contains something that's slightly out of depth. Hopefully it contains what I want, and I can show you what it is. Now the object in particular is going to cost about 250 or 235. Right, so when I'm about to sell the potions, I can see a value. They're gonna give me 3 gold for this. There's only one potion that is worth 1 gold, and that's slime mold juice. Essentially it's food. They're useless because food is abundant, and then again you can create it. These are worth 10, so these are probably going to be whatchamacallit, bravery, boldness. Only sell one at a time. Boldness. When they say 39, when I say 10 each or 13 each, these can be anything. It can literally be anything. It's probably not one of these 3 because there's 3 of them. This is probably treasure detection or something like that. It is a deep descent. Okay, this is a problem. We need these, and it costs 250, and I do not have 250, but I might be able to make them. Detect invisible. We see invisible, so we do not need detect invisible. Sell that. Now we have 250. We'll buy back that deep descent. I'm also going to sell this guy. The Scroll of Blessing. It gives you a little bit of a very short-lived bonus to fighting. We're a mage. We're not going to do any fighting. We don't even have a weapon in slot A. And we are probably from a wealthy family because we have a house. We're gonna go here and drop these. You will want as many as possible of these. You can even want to have 12 or 13 of them. To find 3 of them on the same dungeon level is really lucky. They do tend to be found a lot more towards in the first 5 levels of the game rather than later on. And all in all, it would have cost about 250 to sell them. Never sell anything to the black market. Never sell anything to this guy, because he sells items back several times the cost. You're not going to be able to buy them back, but do go there every time to see if they're selling something that you need. And that is way more than we should have done for one round.